Welcome back, everybody, to A Promise Made. I'm Bob Schuster, the owner of dynamiccoaching.org. And I want to thank Dave Adams. He is in the booth with me tonight, or in the studio. He will be jumping in with comments whenever he feels like it. And it's through his good auspices that this is being sent to you. It's from his technical expertise, his studio. He is the creator and the owner of the JesusNetwork.info, Ephesians Visions Ministry, among many others. He definitely has a heart for getting the word out about Jesus, and that's what this is all about also. But we're not coming to you this evening to preach. We're here hopefully to teach, and not as ministers or priests or biblical scholars, but as business people. With my 45 years in business and 72 years in life, I've got a few answers to a few problems that you may be experiencing. I know I have, and that's where I learned or got most of my wisdom, was from falling on my face several times through the years. And so tonight we want to encourage you, even though you were late, or we were late, and this is only our second broadcast, so each time we learn a little bit more and get a few glitches and know what to experience or expect next time. So if you have any calls or any questions, whether you're brand new in business or you've been there for quite some time but just would like some advice from a businessman on what you can do to move to the next step, or how do you get your business started? There's some very basic things that most people, no matter how long they've been in business, and I know I've been there, forget or didn't learn or neglect or procrastinate on, that we can definitely help.
Okay, and we just want to mention that the Jesus Network has just joined us. So for folks listening on the Jesus Network, welcome to A Promise Made with Bob Schuster.
Welcome, the Jesus Network. Are you also going out on Eagle's Wings?
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
That'll
okay.
be next week.
Okay. I don't know if we're going out at all right now, except on the radio. There we go again. Dave's going to figure this out. He's a genius when it comes to it, but he likes deadlines, and so he waits to the end of until he's got about 2 minutes left, and then he goes, "Oh man!" So we'd be happy to have you call in, and we'll do our best to answer the questions that you might have about business. Or if you're finding yourself, as I have on many occasions, and most people do, find that your personal life is maybe stuck in park or neutral, and you say, is there anything I could do maybe to kickstart it, to get things, and this is not an advice to the lovelorn. We're not going to give you any Ann Landers stuff, but just some practical experience from a guy with 72 years. And believe me, I've been there. I may even be there now. So wherever you are or wherever you've been, trust me, I've been there. One thing that's been on my heart all week, and in fact I've been thinking about it for a long time. You know, there are a lot of books, tapes, webinars, seminars that are entitled, John Maxwell, the great John Maxwell, has a book that I've read, many of you probably, and that's Failing Forward. The word fail is used a lot in seminars, in selling books, in tapes. And I would like to take exception, and I know it's a big exception, and I'm splitting hairs here, but I really believe what I'm saying. I really don't believe that people fail. Now, some people do, and I'll tell you who it is and how you fail. But first of all, how to succeed, and what is success? Well, success is a progressive realization, as the great Earl Nightingale said, guru of personal growth and development. Success is a progressive realization of a worthy goal, or ideal. Now, the word progressive, not political. This is progressive in the sense of one step on top of another, one action added to another. If you look at your life, as I do every day, look at your life and you say, I really haven't been successful. I've failed a lot. Let me ask the question. Do you have a goal or a worthy ideal in mind? I know we all get bogged down in paying the mortgage, the car payment, buying groceries, medical bills. This is normal throughout life. So we get caught in a trap of just concentrating on the necessities of life that we feel are necessities. And if we had a goal or an ideal in mind, we may have put it on the back burner. We may have even forgotten what the heck it was. So I ask you to take a look. Take a look at your life today. Have you lost the flame? Did you have a flame at one time for doing something that really mattered, that you really knew you had a passion for, that you had a strength for, something that you wanted to really do? The Bible, and again, I'm not here to preach. I'm not going to. But the Bible, you can look any place you want. But I'm going to look at the Bible. It says, find something worthwhile to do where you can benefit mankind. Don't worry. I'm not saying don't be proactive. I'm saying don't worry about the material things in life. They'll come. But only if you find a way to help numbers of other people. Really, we get paid in direct proportion to the amount of benefit we're providing to other folks. If you're in sales, most of us are in sales of one sort or another, even as a pastor or a priest, you're in sales. You've got a product. If you're in real estate or insurance, cars, doesn't make any difference. If it's just with, and I don't mean just, but if it's with your family, you've got children, you've got a wife or a husband, if you stop selling, you lose. So what was that passion that you had at one time for doing something? Somebody asked me 4 years ago, when I was struggling, I've always been a coach. I've coached hundreds of people. I've even coached a city, a town, nonprofits, charitable organizations, you name it, over the years. But it's all been pro bono or free. But it's something that I've been good at, something that I love doing, and that's why I did it. But I've never done it thinking about a return or a reward financially. You say, well, then you weren't really doing what you're supposed to be doing. Yes, I was. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was helping other people. All the way through my life, I was helping other people. I was getting prepared for today. You say, well, yesterday wasn't so great. Well, your yesterday is history, and what you did yesterday and every day before that got you prepared for today. Everything you did, everything you thought, prepared you for today. So don't say that, and I'm going to ask you a question. My question to you is, are you happy, satisfied with where you are now? With where you are as a person. Not how much money you got in the bank, not how great your job is, but are you satisfied with you as a person? If you say yes, let me give you a secret. It took every one of them stupid mistakes, every one of those bad decisions, every one of those not so pleasant memories to get you to where you are today. Think about what your life would be had you not experienced every one of those items in your past. Where would the path have taken you had you not decided to do what you did, to think what you thought? They were preparations if you're satisfied with you today. Or if you say, I'm not quite satisfied, but I really feel like I am on my way. Great. Every one of those things that you did in the past, that you thought in the past, that you wish you could cover up and nobody ever knew about, even those were important to getting you to where you are today. Every one. So don't beat yourself up. Those were not failures. That's the way God goes about it. Somebody says, well, Bob, why didn't you start coaching? Why didn't you find Dave Adams and Ephesians Visions Ministry? Why didn't you find them 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago? You know why? I wasn't ready. God said, Bob, you're not ready. I said, but Lord, I sure feel ready. I've been carrying all these crosses for so many years. He says, you're still not ready. You've got more trial to go through. I've got to show you some more things. You've got to gain some more wisdom. I'll let you know when you're ready, but don't stop. Because in Matthew 7:7, now God didn't say, and it really upsets me when I hear people say, well, I'm just going to sit back and pray and see what happens. Nothing will happen good, because in Matthew 7:7, God said, ask, seek, and knock. Ask, seek, and knock. He's a proactive God. He says, well, look at the birds of the sky. God provides for them. He says, you provide for me, yes, but guess what? The bird's got to get out of the nest in the morning and go look for the seeds and the food. He didn't say, sit in your nest and I'll throw you all the food. He said, get off your tush. Ask, seek, and knock. And when you do, your quest will be answered. You'll find the answers. The doors will be opened. Ask a salesman. Whether it's a minister, a priest, car salesman, real estate, you name it. Ask him. How do you get people to come in and listen to what you've got to offer? Whether it's a message or a tangible product, you've got to ask, you got to seek, and you got to knock. How are they going to know you're there? How are they going to know what your product is? How are they going to know what you're selling? Jesus said, go teach the world. He didn't say, sit here in Nazareth and guess what? They're all going to come to you. No. It doesn't, you say, well, I'm not a believer yet. Well, that's okay. It still applies. It's just common sense. They're not going to, people aren't sitting out there waiting to send you a check if you're not doing anything. You've got to ask, seek, and knock. I'll go a step further. We'll go to Proverbs. You know, I read Proverbs, and I really never got to understanding the Bible until 2 years ago. It was just so many words to me. What happened? I don't know. God opened my heart, opened my mind, more and more every day. It wasn't a bolt of lightning. And I don't hear God talking to me. I feel it. And I'm not preaching. I'm just talking about an old guy that's learned it the hard way. But you know one thing? Proverbs, not just so many words. There's some common sense there. You go to Proverbs 24:27. And a guy says, well, how do I go about developing this business, developing clients, developing parishioners, and people that'll listen to me, people who want to buy my product, want me to build them a house? Proverbs 24:27, simple. It said, prepare your fields and your outside work first. First, then build your house. Prepare. What are farmers doing now and ranchers doing now? They're not worrying about the fall. They're not worrying about the harvest. They know the harvest will come. Most assuredly, it will come. However, in the spring, you plant. In the spring, you prepare. In fact, a good farmer and a good rancher has been preparing all winter. He's been fixing his tractors and his mowers and combines and everything else all winter. He made sure. It's the lazy farmer, rancher. It's a lazy person that says, well, I'm going to wait till things turn around and then I'm really going to get going. That's not the way it works. The prosperous farmer, the prosperous businessman continues to work on the essentials, which is learning, fixing your tractor, fixing your combine, making sure that when spring comes, you are ready. Because you've got a short window of opportunity in the spring within which to plant. You say, well, I'll wait till June. Well, wait till June. The sprouts will come up and the July sun will burn them right where they sit. I'm from Wisconsin. 50 years ago. And you know, one of the sayings back there is knee-high by the 4th of July. That means the corn should be knee-high by the 4th of July. You're not planting it. You're not hoping it just comes out of the ground. It's got to be up and able to take care of itself. So in the spring, like it is right now, don't worry about your harvest. Plant. Plant. And plant some more. And then take care of it. You've got to hey, I got into farming when I got here to Oregon about 40 years ago. I got into farming for about 3 or 4 years. And you know, the old saying is, how do you make a small fortune in farming? You start with a large one. Yeah, you start with a lot. I learned how to lose a lot of money because I didn't know Zippo about farming. And in the springtime, Sure, I planted, but you know what I forgot to do, and I didn't want to spend the money doing it? Stupid. I didn't fertilize. Hey, you've got to do that when you're planting. You got to fertilize. Another thing I didn't do. The weeds started coming up. I didn't have a weed sprayer. I didn't even know how to run the one that I borrowed. What the heck? A few weeds aren't going to hurt anything. So you don't fertilize. That means whatever business you're in, you don't read any books. You don't get any coaching. You don't get any consulting. You don't get any mentoring. You don't even have people in your own business that you can go or that you do go to and talk about what should I be doing to get things right. Yeah, you've got to plant. You've got then to fertilize. And you've got to take care of the weeds. We've all got weeds. And I ask you to take a look and make a list. Make a list tonight of the 5 closest people that you spend your time with. Or said another way, the 5 people that you consult with and talk with and shoot the wind with. How many of them are adding to your wisdom, your knowledge, your spiritual growth, your physical growth, your emotional growth? How many of them are adding to it? Or are, like so many people, and I know I've been in business for 45 years, what goes on around the water cooler? The water cooler is always busy. And those, you can walk by and you know what the conversation is. You don't want to stop because they're all depressed. They're complaining about the boss, the job. Hey, got a funny story. Real short. Talking about the water cooler. Or excuses not to succeed. I had a real estate business for a lot of years. And my son, who is a very successful real estate broker back in Denver. If you need a real estate agent in Denver, go online to SchusterProperties.com. I think he's got several others, but that's the one I remember. Schuster Property. Anyway, he always laughed at me. He worked with me for a few years when he first got started. I taught him everything he shouldn't do. Anyway, I had one salesman that my son still harasses me over. Oh, gosh. And this guy's name was Roger. Now, Bob Schuster back in those days, and that was, like 20, 30 years, 25 years ago, I was still trying to motivate everybody. I spent all my time trying to motivate people. I don't do that anymore. I call myself an activational speaker. That means you come with the motivation, and I hope that after listening to me for however long it might be, one-on-one or in a group, that you can walk away with at least one thing that you can put in action tomorrow that will benefit your life or your business. But Roger was your typical. Probably you've got some friends like this. I know I've had them for years. I'd say, Roger, how are things going? And this is when we were in real estate. And he says, oh, man, they're really slow. I said, why are they slow? He says, well, the war in Bosnia. How can you sell? I said, Bosnia? What's that got to do with selling houses in Oregon City? All these other people are worried about Bosnia. And I go, oh, my Lord. Roger was my favorite example. Yeah. Yet another one, Roger says, if we just had better brochures, it's the brochures that just aren't grabbing people. Get a better brochure. And that is so common. That's if it wouldn't be so tragic, it would be comical. But it's really tragic. How many people spend their life worrying about the war in Bosnia or Osama bin Laden today? It has nothing to do with you or your life. Really doesn't. And I can't think of a nice word. All the politicians back in Washington don't look to them to make a difference in your life. I hate to go back to, but I will, because I'll extend it from there. I hate to go back to my old Depression father, who gave me bad advice, but I'll expand it. He said, if you're looking for a helping hand, check the end of your arm. And for years that's as far as I would look because I felt guilty asking anybody for any help. Well, I've learned. Yeah, if you're looking for a helping hand, there is one at the end of your arm. And it's meant to reach out, not just to hold and say, well, I'm not going to go any further than this. You reach out to people in prayer. You ask, seek, and knock. Motivation's got to come from within. It's got to come from within. Why are so many people unhappy? It's simple. The answers are in the Bible. Matthew 25:14. Because we have not exercised our talents. What is your talent? What's that thing that those 5 friends don't even want to listen to you about? You've got a dream, you've got a goal, you've got somewhere you want to go, and you bring this up and you say, I really have got a passion for doing something. Oh, you're nuts. That ain't gonna work. I know 10 people that tried that and it didn't work. Yes, check around with who you've got sitting around your coffee table, water cooler at work. I used to ask my salespeople that were struggling, I'd say, when was the last time you took Mel or Robin or Todd out to lunch? Mike, or the top people in the office, and paid for their lunch. So, well, why would I do that? They can afford their own lunch. That's why you need to take them. Spend your last $10 and take somebody that doesn't need your $10, who knows how to make $10 more than they need, and ask them how they did it, and then do it. Yeah. For those who have an excuse for their life the way it is, there's no hope. You cannot solve an excuse. You can't help an excuse. If Bosnia is bothering you, I can't help you. Now, if you've got a reason that things are not going the way you want them to go or you wish they would go, if you've got a reason, that's when you seek, ask, and knock for someone, somewhere. Maybe it's personal. Maybe it's somebody that you're seeking one-on-one. Maybe it's in a book. Maybe it's in the sermon on Sunday. Maybe it's in the Bible. I don't know. What is it? What is it? That is your reason for not getting your life or your business out of park. If you'd ask, maybe I could help. In fact, I know I could. Don't have all the answers, but I could probably tell you where to find the answers. The basics. And life is not difficult. Not meant to be difficult. Trying, yes. Will you have obstacles? Yes. Will there be tribulations? Yes. But you can see them as stepping stones or stumbling blocks. Your choice. Your choice. It's all a matter of attitude. When you have got a goal or a worthwhile ideal that you want to achieve and you're making progress toward it, you are succeeding. Now, I said I was going to tell you what it takes to fail, and I will. I'm going to give it to you real quickly. Quit. That's a 4-letter word that'll kill you. Your aspirations, your dreams, your goals, your ideals, your family, your finances, your spirituality, your physical well-being. Quit. It's probably the worst 4-letter word anybody could use. I quit. Now you learn how to fail. That's all it took. Was that 4-letter word. I quit. That's not the promise that was made. The promise that was made was I came to give you not only life, but life in more abundance. Life in more abundance. Think about it. Think about it. And if you want to reach Pastor Dave, who's my cohort here and my gracious host, go to evm.info, right?
EVM1.info.
Info, yeah, evm.info. Now that's E as in echo, V as in victory, M as in mother, 1.info. And if you have spiritual questions, ask Dave. He is an ordained pastor. I'm a business coach. If you want to get a hold of me, and if you'd like to be put on my business newsletter, it's not really a newsletter, it's a success letter that comes out a couple times a month, free. Go to my website, and there's a place there where you can leave your email. We don't give it to anybody. Leave your email at dynamiccoaching.org. dynamiccoaching.org. Or you can reach me direct, bob@robertschuster.com. bob@robertschuster.com. We're going to check out here in a couple minutes. I'm going to turn it over to Dave. If you want to call us, it's 323-2882, 541-323-2882. Dave.
And Skype, if you want to Skype in, it's a promise made, the number 1. Just go to Skype and a promise made 1, the number 1, and call us in Skype. And we can, from Skype, you can call us anywhere in the world. And of course, if you want to save a shekel or two, you can call us here locally on the phone. But if you're calling from Germany or New Zealand or Australia, then you want to use the Skype account. Now, Bob, there's a lot of people out there that, at least here in the Pacific Northwest and Central Oregon, that have been, lost their job because of no fault of their own, because of the economy. So if they're listening to this broadcast and they say, well, I didn't quit, I was fired, you still need, there's a term that keeps coming to mind that economic development people use. It's called bootstrapping. And bootstrapping is where you take a company and you fund it yourself, and you find somehow the seed money to start the business, and you bootstrap it. The term is you just grab your own bootlaces and lace them up yourself. So what advice would you give to people who might be starting to feel somewhat discouraged right now because there's no jobs here in Central Oregon, and the economy is kind of down everywhere?
Well, first of all, if you've got a job, you're a victim. It means your boss has got something in mind for you, and it's not what you might have in mind for you. If he needs to cut back, he will. So what Dave is talking or referring to, and this is the first time I've heard it, but except for my father, who said, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right. That's what bootstrapping is.
And I have started more than one very successful business from my bootstraps with no money to start. Absolutely nothing. And I've also started a business with $250,000 and lost it. So it's not how much money you've got, it's how much passion you've got. And you will attract to you what you need. Remember, everything in your life is a result of what you requested. Everything you've got right now, it's your fault. I don't mean don't beat yourself over it, but it's because of the decisions you made. If you're unemployed, it's because you made a decision to work for somebody that might unemploy you. Now's a good time to take a look at Matthew 25:14 and say, what is my real passion? What could I really try? Now, I'm not suggesting you go quit your job and try some multi-level distribution thing or something, that you have no idea what it's, and don't go crazy. I've done it on these get rich quick schemes. Be careful. Prepare your field. Do your outside work. Prepare the foundation. Think about it. Get some advice. Anyway, that's my advice. Just because you're unemployed doesn't mean you're dead. In fact, that's when you might be alive.
Yes, it is. More of America's top companies were created during the Depression than any other time, and that's because people had to do something and they didn't have any other options, and so they had a dream and they pursued their dream, and some of those dreams were very, very good and very successful and grew into America's biggest companies. So now might be an opportunity. I guess one way to look at it is it's an opportunity. Life hands you opportunities. For example, if you're in Central Oregon and you're working in the construction industry and that's all you know right now, that's the skill set you have, you might want to look somewhere else.
Oh, definitely. Because don't believe people when they say it's going to come back. Because if you've been in any business related to construction within the last 10 years, you are not ever going to see what you saw during the last 10 years.
In Central Oregon.
In Central Oregon.
We had a huge housing boom, and the economy was built around it, and it crashed. So there are still places in the country where they're building. I guess Kennewick, Tri-Cities, up in there, they're still building. That's what I'm hearing on the street. But you might want to check that out before you pack up your suitcase and move up there. But the story that keeps coming to my mind is when I interviewed a gentleman who was begging on the street corner, and he was in the construction industry. And I said, why are you still here begging on the street corner? Well, we like living in Central Oregon. I said, why don't you consider moving? Well, we just like it here. Oh, so you like begging on the street corner. well, we just like living here. Well, my advice to him would be to consider your options, your skill set you have today, and you will have to relocate. However, I think Bob has some great advice. Let's say that you have a job right now, but let's say you're miserable at doing it. You hate going to work in the morning. Let's say it's one of those jobs where you say, oh, God, it's morning. I got to do this job again. Consider what your passion is. Bob's been talking about what your passion is. And that doesn't mean quit your job today. That means start planting some seeds, start getting some training. Maybe think about, possibly easing into that passion that you have by maybe taking some evening classes. If it's in the financial industry or whatever, maybe it's in the horticulture industry or the whatever. Start learning about it. Start planting the seeds. Keep your day job, but start seeing what you can do to cultivate those seeds and put some fertilizer on it and see what you can make grow.
Most definitely. Never encourage anyone to quit their job and go off and start something brand new that they have not the experience, the knowledge, or the training to accomplish. So do your outside work, do your field work, then build the house. Prepare. And then when you've got things up and smoking, then you can quit. And you don't want to quit by saying, well, goodbye so-and-so. No. Thank God that you've got the job that's allowing you to start something new. But don't get down. So many people going to sit on their 91 weeks of unemployment, and while they're doing that, they're becoming more depressed. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to do that. You want to use that time constructively by learning, like Dave said, go up to the community college, get some additional skills, because it's going to take additional skills in today's world. Things are changing, and you've got to be willing to change with them. I'd like to live in Beverly Hills. Well, not really. Wish I could afford. No, I don't want to do that either. Just go. If you're 72, you don't want 10,000 acres out in the middle of Wyoming someplace. But when you're 21, you would. So you got to be realistic, but that doesn't mean putting your goals away, your dreams away. It just means two things. A goal has to be, first of all, realistic and achievable. The likelihood of me becoming the MVP of Super Bowl 45, impossible. Or the Pope, impossible. Okay? So don't set those as goals. Set something that's realistic and achievable.
It's highly unlikely tomorrow you'll do brain surgery.
Yeah.
So if that's your dream, let's say you're 48 years old and you want to be a brain surgeon, that's probably not going to happen at this stage in your life. If you were 18 and you want to be a brain surgeon, well, that would be a more realistic goal for that time in your life. But be realistic in your goals, and don't take the attitude of just being a victim. Oh, poor me, everything's bad, the economy's bad, and I can't do anything about it. Make something happen. How do you make something happen? Well, you don't, as Bob was saying earlier, you don't quit. When life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. Now that's kind of an overused expression, but it's true. And life has handed people some lemons recently, and you've just got to get up in the morning and say, well, I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm not going to let it get me down. There have been people here in Central Oregon that have lost everything, and they've had quite a bit of money, and they committed suicide over it. That's a very, very bad choice, a very permanent answer to a temporary problem. It's not an option. Think of your family, think of your kids, think of all you have to live for. But get up in the morning and look at your options and look at your skill set and decide realistically what you can do. And if you need to move from the area, although we'd hate to see you go, then that might be an option at this point in your life. But there's another saying which, do what you love and the money will follow. If you're passionate about doing something, there's probably a way to make money at it. And you're going to be a whole lot happier doing it, and people are going to be a whole lot happier being around you.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
If you're doing something that you really enjoy doing, rather than, oh man, it's another day at the office, it's Tuesday, and I've got to work 4 more days until I get a day off, and then I get 2 days, and then I got to do it all over again. Well, that's your attitude. You need to do something different.
Very true. And what Dave just said, we're going to have to cut out here in a couple minutes. What Dave just said about lemons, it takes me back about 45 years. The great Jim Rohn was giving a motivational seminar, and he was talking about that very thing, creating something from seemingly nothing. And he said, whether this is true or I don't know, he made up the story. It was good. But the lemon thing, he was on an airplane, and the stewardess said, would you like some coffee, tea, milk, or a cocktail or something like this? He says, no, I'd like some lemonade. He said, she says, we don't have any lemonade. He said, well, I really want some lemonade. And she says, I'm sorry, sir, but we don't serve lemonade. And he says, do you have a glass full of water? Yes. Do you have lemons? Yes, we have lemons. Do you have sugar? Oh, well, sure, we have sugar. He says, then you have lemonade. And that's it. Take a look at your life right now. You've probably got some lemonade waiting for you just to put the ingredients together.
Mm-hmm. Just don't say, well, can't do it.
No.
It's a great story. It's a great story. Just don't give up. And but I guess one thing we want to stress is find your passion.
Oh, definitely.
Find out what really pushes your button. Find out why if what would make you the happiest about getting up in the morning. If you knew that there was something that you could do that day that would just make you really want to jump out of bed, well, maybe that's what you should be doing. And we've said that over and over again, but that's a point we're trying to make. I've seen so many people that are just terribly, and I spoke to another person the other day that was just bemoaning his life and just, I won't go into the details, but if you're not happy doing what you're doing, do something else.
Yeah, stop it.
Yeah, don't quit your job today, but life is too short to be miserable all the time. And the people around you will appreciate it too.
Yeah, unless they're the 5 that are miserable with you. Get away from that. Jim Rohn tells another good story that goes along with what Dave was saying. Somebody asked, or he asked somebody, he says, well, how much, the guy was complaining about his life and his income and whatnot, and he says, well, how much are you making? He said, I only make $1 million a year. To me, that'd be a lot of money.
Me too.
And he says, what's your problem? He says, well, I want to make $10 million a year. He says, well, how much do the people that you know make? And he says, well, they're all millionaires. They make about $1 million a year. He says, that's your problem. Change your circle of friends.
Hang around people that are making $10 million.
Yes, exactly. David?
Okay.
I have loved every moment of this evening. I always do. And hope you folks out there and
the internets and
on the internet enjoyed what we had to bring to you.
And this is available on replay on demand. We've had a few technical glitches today that I'll spend probably some of this evening trying to make sure do not happen again. So this webcast you can hear live Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock, and you can call in. Our phone number is 541-323-2882, or you can Skype in, and our permanent Skype address for Bob is A Promise Made, the number 1. Just go to Skype and call A Promise Made 1. And we can answer your questions, or Bob can answer your questions. So with that, Bob, have a very good evening. God bless.
Well, God bless you, Dave, and thanks so much for your facilities and your help.
Okay. And on that note, you have a profitable evening. God bless.